What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're starting a very special end-of-the-year awards ceremony that I call the 7th Annual Demmy Awards, going over every 2019 film that I saw, and this will be split into several different videos over the course of the next month, as there's a ton of stuff to go over. If you're wondering where the name Demmy came from, well, it comes from my website, which I started years before I reviewed stuff on YouTube, and that was called Dave Examines Movies, D-E-M. Now you know! I know this is incredibly late, but as I always say, I can't always go to the theater, which means that I have to wait until I've seen everything that I want to see in a year, and that can sometimes take a while. Anyways, in this first video, we'll be taking a look at the best films of 2019 in each genre, so the best of the best in the action, sci-fi, romance, all that, and here is how the winner is chosen. See, the overall score is the most important number, but there's also a hierarchy of 4 tiebreakers. If the overall score in, say, romance is tied at 87%, the tiebreaker then goes to the entertainment score. Because why do we go to the theater? Why do we go to movies? To be entertained, and that's important. If the entertainment score is tied, then it goes to the specialty score, and that's included because the specialty category specifically looks at things like genre, so that's definitely important. And if all of that is tied, then it goes to the unbiased score. So in general, the unbiased score is where I break things down and only look at what makes a movie technically good. And in an unprecedented move, if all of the aforementioned ratings are tied, then it goes to the people score, because that's the only category that has a total out of 20 points. Everything else is out of 10. If it ties in the people category, then shoot, we're just going to have to end up with a tie, because we've tried our best to break the tie and it's not working. But that's a huge rarity. Are you ready? Because I am. Let's get cracking. We're starting off with the action genre, and the nominees are 1917, Avengers Endgame, Ford v Ferrari, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And the winner is Avengers Endgame at 97%. This is the first Demmy win for Avengers Endgame. The runner-up, by the way, was 1917, which also had the same overall score of 97%, the same entertainment score of 10 out of 10, the same specialty score of 40 out of 40, and the same unbiased score of 94%. The only reason why Avengers beat out 1917 is because the final tiebreaker, the people score, which basically says that Avengers has more memorable characters than 1917, which had a couple of great army characters, but they weren't incredibly memorable characters on paper. That shows you the importance of tiebreakers. It might be the only time that it's used, but still. Next, we're taking a look at the genre focusing on quests, and that's adventure. The nominees are Ad Astra, Avengers Endgame, The Lion King, The Peanut Butter Falcon, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And the winner is Peanut Butter Falcon with an overall score of 98%. This is the first Demmy win for Peanut Butter Falcon. This movie really blew my mind. If you're curious on the runner-up, that was Avengers Endgame at 97%. But all of these nominees were great adventure films. Personally, I think it should have been Star Wars, because out of all those movies, that film specifically felt like a raw adventure above all else. But like I said, the most important number is the overall score, and these movies were simply scored higher. Next up, what is the best animated film of 2019? The nominees are Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, The Lego Movie 2, The Lion King, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, and Toy Story 4. And the winner is The Lion King with an average score of 93%. This is the first Demmy win for The Lion King. You know, it's kind of weird to include The Lion King on this list, let alone let it win, since it's supposed to be a live-action remake. But I mean, the whole thing is animated. It's just animated really, really well with some of the best visuals the year has ever seen. If you're curious on the runner-up, that's How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World with an average score of 88%, which out of that trilogy really, really surprised me. Next, the best biographical film of 2019. And the nominees are A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Ford v Ferrari, Richard Jewell, Rocketman, and Skin. The winner is Ford v Ferrari with an average score of 95%. This is the first Demmy win for Ford v Ferrari. If you're curious on the runner-up, it's actually without a doubt Richard Jewell, which almost won. In fact, from a biased perspective, it would have won, as I found that one to be the most entertaining biopic out of the bunch. But overall, Ford v Ferrari was made better. Next up, we're taking a look at Best Comedy Film of 2019. Now, before I talk about the nominees, it's important to tell you how I distinguish and how I define comedy in the context of these awards. A lot of films have funny elements in them, so comedy is often listed as a subgenre. Things like dramedies and superhero films are a great example of that. But I feel like it's a stupid idea to award a dramedy or a superhero film best comedy unless their main prerogative was to make people laugh. So I split it up. The comedy award will only be awarded to pure comedies, as I like to call them, and the drama award will also only be awarded to pure drama. And a new genre will be created to award special genres like dramedies. Cool? Cool. The nominees for Best Comedy are Jumanji: The Next Level, The Lego Movie 2, Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, Toy Story 4, and Yesterday. And the winner is Jumanji: The Next Level with an average score of 87%. This is the first Demmy win for Jumanji: The Next Level. It's without a question, Jumanji: The Next Level is one of the only films of the year that had me bursting a gut laughing. I love the switch in characters. The Rock acting like Danny DeVito, Kevin Hart acting like Danny Glover. It's great! The runner-up for Best Comedy, by the way, was Lego Movie 2 with an average score of 85%. Looking back, that doesn't feel right. I'd probably personally place Pokemon Detective Pikachu above that, but I'd have to rewatch both to know for sure. The next genre we're taking a look at is crime, and the nominees are The Art of Self-Defense, John Wick Chapter 3, Joker, Knives Out, and Uncut Gems. All good, solid choices. I didn't used to include crime in my awards, but when I really started to enjoy them, I couldn't help myself. But the winner is Knives Out with an average score of 94%. This is the first Demmy win for Knives Out. Was it ever a doubt? Knives Out is freaking great, guys. The runner-up is a very close second with Joker with an average score of 93%, only 1% lower than Knives Out. The difference between the two would basically be the individual importance of the different characters and what they're doing. In Joker, it really is just Joker doing a bunch of stuff, but in Knives Out, you got a lot of different people doing a lot of different stuff, and they're all important. Next up, we're looking at Best Drama of 2019, and the nominees are 1917, Ford v Ferrari, Joker, The Lion King, and Richard Jewell. And the winner of Best Drama is 1917 with an average score of 97%. This is the first Demmy win for 1917. Finally, we got a win for this movie. I knew it had to get something because the movie's insane in so many ways. It deserves to win something. If you're curious on the runner-up, that's actually Ford v Ferrari with an average score of 95%. Now for the inclusion of Best Dramedy of 2019. The nominees are Booksmart, Knives Out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Peanut Butter Falcon, and The Upside. But the winner is Peanut Butter Falcon with an overall score of 98%. This is the second Demmy win for the Peanut Butter Falcon. Yeah, whenever you have something scored so highly, it's hard not to win in a few different categories. If you're curious on that runner-up, it would be Knives Out with an overall score of 97. So close, yet so far. It's now time for the Best Horror Film of 2019. And the nominees are Bad Ben, The Haunted Highway, It, Chapter 2, Midsommar, The Perfection. The winner, though, The Perfection with an average score of 89%. This is the first Demmy win for The Perfection. Probably only win, just a forewarning. It's a very different movie that gets on your nerves. It's not a mainstream horror film, but it's definitely worth the watch. If you're wondering on the runner-up, that's It, Chapter 2, with an average score of 84%. Also, it wasn't in the running, but one of the more entertaining horror films this year was Dr. Sleep. Wasn't scary by any means, but it was a lot of fun, so I'll include that as a notable mention. And now for the Best Mystery Film of 2019, and the nominees are Fractured, Escape Room, I Am Mother, Knives Out, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu. The winner is Knives Out with an average score of 94%. This is the second Demmy win for Knives Out. I consider myself to be quite a big fan of the mystery genre, and I highly recommend all these films if you get the chance to watch them. They're all great. If you're wondering what the runner-up was, that was I Am Mother with an average score of 92%, which was definitely a mystery. In some ways, it remained a mystery even after it ended. Next up, what's the best romance film of 2019? The nominees are Always Be My Maybe, Isn't It Romantic, Long Shot, Marriage Story, and Yesterday. Guys, there wasn't a ton of romance films that I saw this year. I feel like that had more to do with the fact that it wasn't a big year for romance than it did me avoiding anything. Anyways, the winner for Best Romance is Yesterday with an average score of 83%. This is the first Demmy win for Yesterday. If you're curious on the runner-up, that's Netflix's Marriage Story. I really contemplated including that because it's kind of an anti-romance, which is ultimately why it got runner-up instead of winning with a higher overall score of 90%. It's hard to call it a romance, but it's also hard not to call it a romance in a weird way, so there you go. Next up is the best science fiction film of 2019. Let's look at those nominees, which are Ad Astra, Avengers Endgame, I Am Mother, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. These are actually all pretty decent uses of sci-fi. Ad Astra is probably the most grounded in reality, but it's still using technology that doesn't exist right now. But really, there's a clear winner here, and that's Avengers Endgame with an average score of 97%. This is the second Demmy win for Avengers Endgame. And you know what? It's worth it. This film legit has everything that constitutes a sci-fi. It has the advanced technology in general, it has fictional science, specifically with time travel, it has space exploration, and it has a level of that post-apocalyptic dystopian theme. How can it not win sci-fi? The runner-up was Spider-Man Far From Home, and what makes that sci-fi, it's not much, but it's basically the Spidey suit, and it's the advanced technology that Mysterio is using, all that fun jazz. The final genre we're taking a look at today, Best Thriller of 2019. And the nominees are Ad Astra, I Am Mother, Joker, Knives Out, and Uncut Gems. When it comes down to thrillers, we want to be on the edge of our seats. We want our hearts pounding, and we want to be entertained above all else. And these are all great examples of that. I'll first tell you what didn't win, but should be still recommended, and that's Uncut Gems. That film is probably the movie that made me the most uncomfortable all year, which is a form of thriller. But when you're uncomfortable, you're not as entertained or having as much fun as you would be having with the other films, which is why the winner of Best Thriller is Knives Out with an average score of 94%. This is the third Demmy win for Knives Out. Yeah man, this is a hold your breath thrill ride from beginning to end that's just a ton of fun to experience. Those are the best films of each genre. And by the way, if you're curious on the highest average score for a genre, that would be biopic at 80%, followed closely by dramedy at 77%. Everything else kind of averages at or around 70%. And that's it, guys. I want to hear your favorite film of each genre in the comments down below. Did my picks match up with yours, or was I way off? Let me know. The next Demmy video will cover the worst films in each genre, so the opposite of this. As for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this video and would like to see some others like it. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon because that'll help notify you when I come out with my next review or award video. And until then, peace out!